Good podcast.
Welcome, Mia. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Giovanna. How are you?
I'm doing great. I say this about every person that comes on, but I'm very excited about today's topic.
Yeah, I get that. It's always nice to have a new conversation, and you never know what's
Right.
coming up. So, I'm excited too.
Yes. Now, I was telling our listeners in your introduction that, you have a lot of experience in mediumship. You started when you were younger. So, can you tell us about how you came into this, like, or how it chose you, or did you choose it? Tell us.
Yeah, I actually feel it right now. Like even I get tears in my eyes. It's like, and that's always a sign of spirit. That means like I don't know how to describe it. We all are channels in some shape or form, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if people listen, you will know those things when you have the goosebumps, or all of a sudden you get
Right.
tears, or some other sensations. We just have unlearned to, or we are disconnected from it actually. So we don't really put attention to it. We just brush it off.
Mm-hmm.
But coming back to your question, so the actual event in my life that really opened it was when I lost my father, my papa, when I was 13. And he died, and that was completely challenging me in my beliefs of death and God in a traditional way, how I was taught, in church, growing up in a
Right.
Christian in the Christian ways, back in a very small village in Germany. Just for people to know, I was really small village, like literally like less than 100 people, one street, 10 houses,
Wow.
500 cows. So just to give a bit of an idea, like where I come from, because there wasn't much stimulation. I have always been very connected to nature. I grew up on a farm
Mm.
kind of thing, like a very small kind of farm. And that I think that plays a key part as well in order for people to be connected rather than there's a difference if you grow up in a city. It's just different.
Right.
So, anyways, coming back to that with my papa, because when I was already young, when I was 4, I remember when I was 4, I was always talking to spirits and seeing things. When I was falling asleep, I would always see like energetic fields. I don't know how to describe it, like things. And I thought it was just normal. Like I wasn't talking about it to anybody. I just thought, okay. Had also very
Mm-hmm.
vivid dreams. Um, but yeah, I never spoke about it. And then when my papa passed away, I just felt things. And even at his funeral, I was like, I literally like I remember the pastor was reading out like, and when the last leaf is falling from the tree, and where his grave was positioned, there was literally like a really huge big tree, and it was about autumn, and literally the last leaf was falling in that moment. I remember that because I was only like
Wow.
young, and I was literally thinking on looking 5 million times, and it wasn't actually the last leaf. And those little things, I know people when the mind comes in, but yeah, but it's like I was searching for connection, right? Because I couldn't believe that my papa is gone, and I was
Mm.
questioning God. I was obviously very upset, and that led me on this journey where I was going beyond the traditional way of God. What's happening after? I thought this can't be it. And so
Mm-hmm.
I had my moments where I started to reconnect, but obviously the mind comes in the conditioning. So I question a lot. Was that even real? What's happening here? And
Right.
it only really came to fruition when I moved to New Zealand, where I didn't intend to move. I was going for an experience there, an OE. And someone like had a friend, and she said, "Oh, I think you could need it." It was a time there when I was really low and rock bottom kind of moment. And she was like a seer, a reader,
Mm-hmm.
medium. Or psychic in that way. And so she channeled my papa. She didn't know anything about me, nothing at all, like no background information. And
Right.
she saw things that nobody could have known. And I was blown away. And in that moment, I started to remember and I started to reawaken. And that was around 2016 or longer than that. Yeah, around this time. Yeah, this is when it came back. Yeah, just to give it a bit of a nutshell. But I basically always have channeled in a way, but I wasn't really aware of it that I'm actually doing it. Even when I was 12 years old, I would give like some people in the village like advice about things, and because like an adult almost, and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't me because I didn't have that knowledge, but it was like energy flowing through me. And so, yeah, this is a bit of a story, and that led me on this journey where I am today.
Awesome. So was it unfortunately like the unfortunate event of your father passing that led you, obviously you met the medium and she told you some things about your father. When that happened, is that when you were like, okay, maybe this is something that I should try to not necessarily pursue, but tune into a bit more, I should say.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I was guided to it. I didn't intentionally think I'm a medium or something like that because I've always been very intuitive and just felt things. I was very open, highly sensitive with my body as well, which we talk about later, which led me on
Hmm.
this journey to connect more with my body. But in that moment, I started to do, that's what happens when people go through certain awakening stages or their consciousness is opening up and like, oh my gosh, then all of a sudden this book finds you or you listen to that person. And of course, at that time, there wasn't so much stuff out there on YouTube, like you can find now everything. So I was guided to work with the moon cycles. Intuitively, I've done that. And I started to learn about that and was starting to walk moon circuits because, yeah, my lineage comes from witches, the healers. My father was a healer, which I found out later, only later, because it was very hidden. But he was healing people, he was a psychic, but it wasn't fitting the image back in East Germany back at that time. So nobody was really putting out there. It was very hidden, and that's why it took me so long to actually come out of my closet. I believe we all have the old healer witch wound, like it's woo woo,
Hmm.
nobody wants to talk about it. We all have
Right.
it in some shape or form in our DNA. It's just our collective wound. But that's what I learned through my journey. But it was very hard at the beginning. I was really hiding. I was doing it all secret, like, oh, I'm working with the moon and I'm doing this. And, like, oh my gosh, what will people think? And at that time, I remember I was actually going into a library and was literally the old school way, which is kind of cool, right? And I was borrowing books, but I was making sure I cover them or put them in a bag when I walk out because it was all like witchcraft and spirit and, all these things.
Hmm.
And but when I think back now, it was so fun. So I spent most of my free time then really diving deep into that and connecting. And of course, along the way, then you meet certain people and they start talking about that too. I said, oh, okay, you know a bit about that. And then I started doing it for people. I had so many encounters with spirit. I also learned a lot about protection, energy protection, because polarity exists, like just as in our human experience we have polarity, but also in the spirit world, as in like there can be polarity too. And I always say that with love to people when they start endeavoring that, to always make sure you are protecting your energetic field. You're very much embodied in yourself, and always come back and anchor. You need to know who you are first before you dive into that, and to really be connected, because it can go different ways. Because when you work with the energetics or the quantum realm, spirit world, that there's a lot happening on an energetic level, cellular level. And if you're not tuned in and connected with your human body, we are all here, right, of
Hmm.
that, with that, it's our vessel, then a lot can go wrong. It can go, you can feel really disorientated, you can feel certain uneasiness, lots of things can show up in your body, things can get attached, energies can attach to you. And it's not about being scared, it's just I feel it's very important to be aware. And I've experienced that with some teachers, mentors. They don't really teach that. They're like, oh yeah, do that, go in this. And especially now when you have this access to YouTube, TikTok, just tune into spirit, and nobody will talk about what you actually need to do before in order to be really
Right.
connected, become the best. It's a practice. It's like you go the first time to the gym, you won't be able to do, 10 pull-ups kind of thing, or
Hmm.
you will be super sore or whatever. You will damage your body more than doing good. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good thing because also I know a few people who have the gifting of seeing the dead and or the past. I don't know. I don't know the right way to say it, but those who are no longer with us. And they were afraid. And I think a lot of people they were afraid to share that gifting because they were afraid what people thought about them or what people would say. What are some common misconceptions? Excuse me. What are some common misconceptions when it comes to those who have that gifting, who see those who have passed on or are no longer with us?
Yeah, I think it's very normal to be scared because it's not something we get taught when we're young.
Hmm.
It's actually more when you look at the conditioning right through movies or the media, it's like, ooh, be careful. The witches, the bad witches, they come and want to destroy the world, or the evil, the
Hmm.
devil, the demons, whatever. That is living in us because we grow up with that, and so we believe that.
Hmm.
But the common misperception is that they are coming to harm you, but they don't. Because when, from my understanding, and I just share my own experience, yeah, my own experience, my own embodiment
Right.
is like with my encounters is like that. You always have free will, right? So if you see something, feel something, you can fully decide to shut this off, be like, no, I'm not available, because this is your temple, you are the gatekeeper of it. So you can open the door or you can close the door, and that's the power we
Right.
all have, right? So you can fully decide that, and you will only ever be given or shown what you are able and capable of at receiving, transmuting, and alchemizing. No, but like that, you will never be given what you're not able to handle, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
And that when I had encounters with, like, if you will call them maybe bad spirits, I wouldn't call them, they that you perceive them as like, oof, a little bit different here.
Hmm.
But I wasn't scared. I was like, I mean, I was like, oof, okay, different, but I was like, okay. And I was communicating with them very normal, like with the others, and asked them, what do you need? And some were just trapped. They were just like in between timelines, and like, and they just needed to help to be sent over, or there was a message they still had to give to someone. And at the end of the day, we are all connected. It's more like a labeling and your beliefs. So whatever your belief is, that this is how you will have this experience.
Right.
But I can tell you from my own experience that no matter how bad it seemed, they don't do harm. No, unless you allow that. Hmm.
Right. Now, can you talk a bit more about those who are stuck in limbo, those who haven't fully crossed over, or if is that even correct, or is that just something like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, okay. Can you
Sometimes they
talk
have a
more?
still a yeah, sorry, you go.
No, can you just like kind of explain the things that you've experienced? I know maybe every situation is different, but the common theme that you've seen, the reason why they don't move on.
Because there's still a message that they couldn't pass on, and sometimes because when their loved ones, they're still very much suffering, and they're
Mm,
still very much attached, or because they left suddenly, or with a lot of pain, that they still want to be there and around. And for some, they just, yeah, they just feel if they're like, they can help more when they're staying closer until they move on. They will always be, it's hard with the mind to actually put it into a concept or trying to explain, because at the end, all dimensions, we are all connected.
right.
But and it's not like, oh, they're moving over and they will never be able to come back, because my papa moved over, right? But he's always available. If I call on him, if I talk to him every day. Like, he became one of my spirit guides. And so it was a learning for me throughout the process, because I was scared. I was scared, oh, now he passed on his messages, now he's leaving me, right? And especially then
Mm-hmm.
it brought up the old fear. But it's mostly they're just having unfinished business. And some just also had the feeling from, I remember with one spirit I communicated, and I never was able to find the people, but he was just wanting to pass on a message. He was more like, he was still clinging on to some earthly living, like he wasn't ready to fully go. And it's their own journey, because from what I believe, and we all are having a soul contract, and we coming into this lifetime with a certain contract, with a soul purpose, and we choose that before we even enter this world, and before we are born. That's my personal belief. And so each person we meet, we have a certain soul contract with them, whatever, in whatever shape or form. Can be super short, can be the person you cross on the street, or it can be your intimate relationship. Also, you choose the souls, like, your father, your mother, your siblings, and so on and so forth, that for a reason, for on purpose. There's purpose in everything, no matter how painful it appears to be. Yeah.
Right. Now, has there ever been a moment where that connection, like where any connection actually challenged you instead of comforted you, or
Um, I'm just like, like you mean like with a direct spirit or someone like
Yeah.
that? No, I never felt. I no, I never felt that challenging. I had a challenging experience in Bali. That was well a little bit. I can put it into very short sentences. It was actually last year, and I was going to a retreat there because a friend of mine invited me, and it was like a women's only retreat, and it was more like about doing yoga, journaling, and things. It wasn't going like deeply into too much spiritual stuff, but there were people who were channels as well. So we were like 8, 9 women. And the last night before it was ending, there were meant to be like a sound bath for people who may not know about it, like, but it's like, the sound bowls, and and because it was
Mm-hmm.
out in it was a very sacred land. I could feel it. I could feel when I came there. It was like, whoa, there was so much going on spirit wise. I could feel so much energy. It was also very peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, cut long story short. So what you do when you go to a retreat, you trust that, everything is organized, the people coming in and la la. And it was interesting because I felt off. I now know, I learned even more about that. My body gives me, even a couple of days before, gives me already signs if something is coming. And it's interesting because it's a constant journey. You learn about yourself, and that's why you need to spend the time with yourself. So anyway, I started to feel off, but I wasn't sure because I thought maybe because it's ending, and I was also a little bit in a limbo. I'm always reflecting in this way, but I felt weird. And then it started raining that day, and it was meant to be outside. So they set up everything, like the circle, and we were meant to lay down because that's what you receive and you go into a deep meditative state. I was really looking forward to it actually because I haven't had like a sound bath in that space and in such a
Mm-hmm.
capacity before. And it started raining, and even the people who entered, it was all weird. I started to feel like not good. I don't know. And I was like, that's interesting. And cut long story short, turned out to be, it was like how would I say, like a setup. So they never, because in Bali and when working with the spiritual realm, that you have to do certain offerings to the spirit and ask the land for permission for certain things. I learned about that. So they never did anything of that, which we found out later. And because when the sound bath never fully happened, they started it, and then all the smoke and the sage, and I even that made me nauseous. And there were lots
Wow.
of things and signs, and the rain was getting stronger. They made us. We were lying in the rain, and I thought it doesn't feel right. Even my papa was coming in, and I was like, something is weird. And they started to count us into the like meditative state. And then all of a sudden I just they stopped it, and then I heard screaming. And the screaming is literally like what I don't want to scare people, but I just want to tell this experience. That's just also to explain that that spirit wasn't intending anything bad. It just shows like when people play around with it, but also how it responds. And so basically 5 people, not us, but the people from the resort, like the staff, they got
Mm-hmm.
possessed. Like
Oh,
literally,
wow.
yes, yeah, like literally, I've never seen this. I've only seen it in movies, of course, Exorcist, but literally like
Mm-hmm.
that. The eyes roll back, so something takes over. Like they really like screaming, they do things and they talk like differently, different voice, everything. And it was crazy. And because it was this was going from one person to another, and like the 5 staff. Why them? Because they were the most tired. Because they have been working, I've found out later, for months, like overworking, and they have, of course, nurtured us and things like that. The staff, I'm talking about the kitchen staff and from the resort,
Mm-hmm.
not the facilitators. And that was crazy because I remember there was so much going on, and different people did different things, and I was like protecting and bringing like saging and things like that. But I was told to stay in the background, to not go directly to the people who are possessed, because I could have gone, right? But I didn't, and I trusted that, and I was like just being with where I was meant to be and doing that. And I was able to observe, and later on I channeled something as well, which I never thought I would be able to. I didn't do it on purpose, it just came through. And because there was so much going on, right? When you like being able to come back to that present moment in such a chaotic environment, also because I was afraid, right? If
Right.
there was some sort of fear was there, because like, oh, what's that? Not like in a sense, oh, I'm threatened,
Mm-hmm.
but like, oh, I'm losing my life kind of thing, but it was more like, whoa, what is that? And that was an experience that showed me like the polarity as well, in the spirit world, that this can happen. Like, and when you're not careful with, yeah, how I said before, like to not honor that they didn't mean harm. They were just like pissed off because they didn't get asked for permission or they weren't invited. It was
Mm.
basically they were closed off, and it was done on purpose because the people who were setting this up, they did that on purpose because they didn't know how it will turn out, but they knew that something will cause that, right? So
That's weird, but why would someone create that on purpose with,
yeah,
not,
because mm, they
I mean,
wanted
not to
to,
talk about the facility and, those who hosted it, but, you're signing up for a retreat expecting to be safe, expecting to be around, and not that you guys were unsafe, but in a way, a lot of people were scared and frightened. You just never really experienced that side of it. So it's, to me, I feel like that's a bit, I don't know. I don't like that.
yeah, no, I didn't like it either. But just to background, they wanted to give the manager a bad reputation, because when something like that in Bali happens, especially in such a small village, um, that means like something is really wrong, bad
Mm,
stuff. They have their own
okay. So
culture,
just the
and so
intention
that
itself was not right.
no,
That's what
because
it
it
seems like.
involved people like
Mm-hmm.
that they have nothing to do with that. That was my thinking too, like where I was like, come on, guys, because like, and especially the stuff that went through, even when you get, even after the cleansing, that the body takes a toll. It takes them weeks, even months to reconcile because you
Right.
have to, because it's like a trauma. It's a trauma
Right.
because
Right.
something took over. It's like a trauma when you had an accident. It's like a trauma with anything really. And so, yeah, that was more, but it helped me to go deeper into that and to reflect and to be more careful. And I actually was like a little bit first angry with myself because I thought I gave my trust over. And I'm very much on self-trust. I have been traveling at that time for almost 2 years by myself and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and trusting, trusting, trusting. And I was like, okay, always make sure to really look into those things. Be really careful, but also because I wanted to do retreats and be a
Right.
facilitator. For me to be like, all right, okay, interesting, good to know. I learned so much from that. And just for
Right.
your listeners, nothing to be scared of. It's not the normal. It was very much an exception. And obviously, all us, all the women who were there, all our souls, we sign up for this. Even when I'm gonna like when I reflect back, even when I saw the setup, it was beautiful with the flowers and the yoga mats before the sambas, amazing. I had like a déjà vu in a past life memory. I felt like, oh, I have done this before. Okay, the
Mm.
rain started, feels familiar. Okay, we have done this before. And to be fair, the perfect, it's amazing when you look back, when you really like put now the dots back together, that we were all nourished. We were all basically, we had our full week of like, of course, we had lots of healing and transformation, letting go, and, emotions coming up. But in that sense, we were nourished. And imagine this would have happened when we came there. Like it was different. So we had a certain bond and connection. And as I said before, some of the girls were living there. So they had a bit of experience, anyways, with
Right.
that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that was the part. Yeah.
That was challenging. Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's something that should have been sacred and it wasn't held up to that standard. And so that's the reason why things went the way that it went. I
Yeah.
completely understand that. Okay, so now let's talk about your dreams. Because you said
Yeah.
you have a lot of dreams, very vivid dreams. I do too, very, very vivid and very often. Now, you said that your dreams have been translated into real life events. How do you emotionally process the weight of knowing something before it happens?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question as well because like sometimes like with dreams they are not all no not always premonitions. You may dream of a death, but it's more like
Right.
a symbol of it could be a part of you is dying because dreams are usually our subconscious, not our soul is talking to us because when that's why sleep is so amazing and we can do so much
Mm-hmm.
with it because in the sleep realm. Our soul leaves our body. We go deep into the subconscious. If we really put intentions before we go to sleep, like, I don't know, show me what I need to do in order to level up or find a new job, or what is it
Right.
that is holding me back from opening my heart, or whatever it is that's going on in your life. It can literally show you. It may not be the right that night in the dream, but you allow your soul and your consciousness to go really deep, and really go beyond the consciousness and go deep. So coming back to the dream, the first dream that I remembered was when I was younger. Can't remember if I was 7 or 8, and I dreamed that because at that time, like the best friend from one of my brothers was always there every day, and I thought in the dream it was he. We got told he's our cousin actually, and I saw that his dad was dying, like, or was dying, and the next day, literally, his dad had a car accident and unfortunately died, and we found out that he was actually my uncle, and that this boy is our cousin. It was like, that's what I remember, but at that time I didn't really put too much because I was too young. I was just like, maybe I made this up. I don't know, but it came back to me and remembered later.
Hmm.
And one of the most recent dreams was a couple of months back. Again, my brother Thomas. I have three brothers, and I didn't speak to him much or anything. I didn't know anything about his health issues, whatever. I remember he came in the dream, and he was sitting at a table and he was putting his hands like that. And he was like, "Oh, I need your help. Mia, I need your help with my health. I can't do this anymore. I'm just like," and he was holding his chest. He couldn't breathe. He was holding his chest. I was like, "I told you to stop drinking beer and, like, and do little," I was like in the dream, I was like, "I told you so many times you can do little things to improve your health. Don't, like, you need to do it. Don't come to me." And then there was another friend of his. And, but he was like, "Oh, I can't do this anymore. It's so hard." And then literally, the next day, because it was really intense in the dream. I was really worried about him. The next day, my mom told me that he had an almost heart attack and he had to go to hospital and he got medication. So his soul was speaking through the dream already before, because we had a time difference as well. And to coming back to your question, how to deal with it, like, I'm very much, I journal my dreams, and as I said, I don't jump right away to conclusions. I will feel if I just will feel if I need to contact that person or ask. And if somebody's like, very strongly came up, I always message them, be like, "Hey, how are you? How's it going? I saw you in my dreams. What's going on?"
Hmm.
Yeah. I even had once a dream, a very random person. Like, I used to work with him when I was a personal trainer in the gym, and he was one of my clients, and I haven't seen him in whatever, 6 months. And I literally dreamed that I saw him with a woman, and she was yelling at him, and there was like, they had like arguments, and there was lots of pain and whatnot. And then I just messaged him next day, "And how's it going? Woman's trouble?" And he's like, "Oh my gosh, absolutely, what's happening?" And so we met up for a coffee, and because I told him the dream, he's like, "You have no idea exactly that happened." And I was like, "What is going on?" So yeah, all these things happen,
Hmm.
from time to time. But with dreams right now, I do work with them, of course, for myself, but also when I have clients, to just be guided, to be a channel. I ask them the night before, when I know I have the next day, like a session scheduled. Um, I will ask through my dreams to show me, how can I support, how can I assist, what message needs to come through, what do they need to see. And this is very powerful, because then because in a dream state, I really make my ego is out of the equation, and you can become a really clear channel. And it's fun. I would recommend to people to play with your dreams. It's so much fun when you actually
Hmm.
start to explore, and you can process through your dream state so much. It will cut out therapy sessions. You know what I'm not cutting out, but cut it short. And you can collapse timelines, because I think therapy is great. But yeah, what's your experience with dreams? How do you do it?
I mean, honestly, I just dream, and I mean, I have amazing dreams. I love sleep. I love sleeping. Sometimes I'm just like, let me sleep a little longer because I hate when my dreams are interrupted because they're always so vivid. Um, but I've had dreams where, something had happened to my cousin, and I had a dream that he had died, and then he came back to life. And when I reached out to him, he was like, "That's exactly what happened." He told me the story, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like, So there's been situations, and then there's other situations where I have dream about, my family, and I'm like, and it's repeated, a repeated dream, and then I reach out to them. They're like, "Oh no, everything is fine." So I'm like, "Okay, were they lying? Were they telling the truth? I don't know." Sometimes I just don't know what is actually God and what is just, my soul, I guess, speaking, or my subconscious, so to speak. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
I that is a really good example. It's all your soul, and and God is telling you. That's why I said like to that not everything is premonition. And when you, for example, dream repetitively about your family, what I always say with dreams, okay, when you wake before you even wake up and start doing things, like write it down. What I do now, because I have so much information from my dreams that by the time I write, I'm starting to wake up. So what I do, I just do a transcript. I just
Mm-hmm.
put it in my phone and do that. It's easier, and I'm just like half asleep, and I'm like even in dark, because I don't want to lose that information. And sometimes I feel like even if I just remember a small sequence, when I thought, oh, that's so random. And the moment when I think it's so random, that is actually the moment when I take note of it, because that is the key message for me, right? For my
Mm,
life, for what's going on with myself. So I tell people, like, find a way to journal in whatever shape or form to just keep track. And it's not about really that you need to remember all the people or things, just the feeling. How did it make you feel? Were you anxious, frightened, expansive, joyful? Whatever, stressed, and go into the energy. And because even when we dream about a person, it's not about that person. It is about the archetype, or what are they embodying for you, what are they triggering
mm,
within you, what are they mirroring back. And then track it. And also, what was going on in your life that day before? What,
mm-hmm.
what was going on? What were you thinking the whole day? Worrying? What's present right now? Or what is one of your biggest struggles? And just track it. And because at the beginning you might not get much through, but then when you track it, you get more practice, and you will start to open up more. And then you will find some patterns. And for example, with your family, it could be like something subconsciously that you're worried about them, or some old imprints, or you're just alchemizing things and working
Mm,
through it. Not consciously, but your subconscious is bringing it up. I sometimes
right.
often have dreams coming from the past or from the child. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. And it's cool to see, because then it aligns with what is happening present. Ah, yeah, still a bit of layer there, some triggers, which we always will have. And so it's very powerful. And you're doing it exactly perfectly right. Still message them. Why not? You dreamed about
Right.
them. It doesn't always mean like, oh gosh, this actually happened.
Right.
So it's a matter of exploring, and then just finding your way, like with everything in life. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I always see it as like if I have a dream, then I might as well say something just in case, because you never know. I feel like when we're given dreams or we're giving messages or visions, it's for a reason. It's not just for us to just see it and then say, okay, well, that's happening.
Yeah.
I feel like God uses that as an extension for us to step in or intervene some way somehow. I know that we are not God. We will never be God, but I feel like there are ways that we can help, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does
And
that make sense?
what's the worst? You send a beautiful message to people and say, hey, you showed up in my dream. How beautiful is that? I think it's beautiful. So why
Right.
not? Yeah.
Right. Now you talk a lot about the body and being connected to your body, and you are a facilitator of embodiment, right?
Yeah, quantum embodiment. Yeah,
Quantum
that's what
embodiment.
I
Let's talk
do.
about that. Let's talk about how important it is for us to be connected to our body, especially when we're looking to be, a channel, or just relay messages, or just, talk to God for us. How important
I
is it to be connected to our body?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. It's one of the most it's the most important thing, really. I realized that through my journey, because let's be honest, we can all be in cloud nine, and I've seen a lot of channels and mediums, like not that I saw them, but experienced them, and they are a lot and up there, but they don't bring it down here. And
Hmm.
you need a clear vessel, because this is our vessel. This is our receiving station and transmission station, right? That's how the radio, like, kind of, you can imagine, but it's a vessel. Right now, we are receiving information, we let it flow through us, we have this conversation, and then we transmit it to the people who will listen to that, which is beautiful.
Right.
And it's our connection between the source, God connection and being here on earth. And at the end of the day, we all are here for the human experience. So it's really important to bring it back into the body. And also, all the information we receive, you need to kind of like process it and alchemize it. And I said it before, the body just takes longer because energy moves like lightning speed. We can't even imagine how fast it moves,
Right.
but our body is matter. And that's why whatever sort of healing work you do, or even if you go and see a psychic, you need to understand that with the information that you received, a lot is happening that we are not conscious about on a cellular level, very deep. And I feel a lot has been underestimated from my own experience. And also, I have done it. I have been guilty. You need integration phase, integration and embodiment. Like people always look for information, more, 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 more. But you need to actually be able to alchemize it and embody it and then, process it, all the information. And in order to be a channel, yeah, when I say you need to have a clear vessel, I'm not just talking about nourishing your vessel, your body in a way with food and movement and nature, but also what is running the show? What is running your subconscious? What are you feeding yourself with? Who are you surrounded by? What is your environment? If you're in a very toxic environment, let's say I'm just picturing the worst case scenario here, surrounded by drug addicts, alcoholics, people who just like watching the news every day, negativity, 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 then I have to say it bluntly, you're full of shit. And there is not in a bad way, but it's really hard then for information to come through and you won't be open to it because you're so full. And also you need to be able to create space to receive messages, because if you constantly stimulated, if you constantly distracted and you listen to things and talking, you're not able to sit with yourself, you will never be able to receive messages. You have to learn to be in stillness in whatever shape or form. And I'm not saying everybody has to meditate, although it is beneficial, but I don't think everybody has to sit still in that way. But it may be moving meditation. You have to create a flow state. That is for sure very, very important. Otherwise, you won't receive anything because your mind will try to come in, because your ego is very strong. When I started doing it, it was like often when I received information, I'm like, huh? How's that possible? Right? The ego comes in. Yeah, the ego comes in. You try to put it together with the ego, but then we need to get out of here. This is not just pure information. And it takes practice because we are not used to it. We are so analytical, conditioned to use the mind and solve everything from the mind. And coming back to the question with the body, like I have been an athlete ever since I was 3 years old. So I was really learning to override my body needs and pushing through pain. And yeah, discipline looks good from the outside. Discipline
Mm-hmm.
with when you disconnect it from your body is self-abandonment,
Mm.
because I was totally disconnected from my body. I didn't even know when I needed rest. I wasn't sure what my body actually needs. And so it was a complete journey of me to recondition myself and unlearn that and then relearn. And I see that in so many people, and especially high achievers and especially women. We are so disconnected. And how important it is to come back, because our body, like let's say people don't believe in spirit world and woo woo, whatever they want to call it, but your body is your measurement tool. And let's come back to that. It's your oracle. It's giving you signs. And like any pain, anything that you're going through right now, no matter how hard it is your body telling you a story. It's a signal. It's something you have been ignoring. And I know it. I have ignored my body. I had, pre-cancer cells. Was meant to have an operation, do all these things. I was constantly inflammation, hormone imbalances, tired. And I was doing all the things from the outside. But there was some deeper things that were stored and unprocessed in my body that I didn't go to. And with my experience, I could see that no matter how much you do on the outside, you can never override what you haven't processed on a cellular level. It could
Mm.
be trauma, unprocessed emotion, anything really, because the body takes score. And that's amazing. Once you give it space to express how it will guide you, it will lead you. We all have this ability. Your body has your language. It will tell you, this is not the right person, not the right job. No, today is not a pushing day. Like today is a rest day, in a sense of like taking things slower. I'm not saying
Right.
rest day you have to be all day on the couch, but being like, hey, today is more background work. I'm actually meant to go a little bit more inward or do things, whatever that may look like for you. And when you start working with that, you become so powerful and you have more energy. You feel like, oh wow, I have so much energy. I'm not drained. And but you need to learn to trust these signals. And that's again a trial and error. You only can experience it yourself. Like there is no one size fits all
Right.
template. There's certain things, how people is guiding, but I always guide people to remember themselves, to trust themselves, because that is the ultimate message. Yeah. So the
Yeah.
body is important.
It really is. And I mean, from my own experience, I was always the person like I never really took care of myself, like my body, whether it was spiritually, whether it was, nutritionally or just physically, whatever. It wasn't something that I've done. But for the past, I want to say maybe 3 years, I've learned to slow down. I've learned to listen to my body. I've learned like when I feel like anxiety or anxious, I know that I have to go outside. I know that I haven't been outside in a long time. So I'm like, okay, I need nature. Like I need to lay out in the grass. I need to feel the sun. I need to be by the trees. And so listening to my body, I've learned that. I've learned the rhythm of it. And so, and I like when you stated
The discipline one,
discipline without no discipline. You stated
connection. Yeah, I
discipline
meant
without connection is
discipline.
self-abandonment. And that is
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
powerful.
Mm. But it's true because I did everything on the outside, right? I was doing more, more, more. But the more I was doing like better nutrition, different workouts, mindset work, the more disconnected I became from my body. And to the
Hmm.
outside, it looked like, oh, she's doing everything. She's so good with the body and with the feeling. I said, no, it was the absolute opposite from the inside, how
Right.
it actually felt. And it's so interesting. And I'm just honest. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. And at the body, I feel like what really helped me was to see it as my soulmate relationship. Because to be honest, like the relationship you have with your body, you have this one body given. God gave us this vessel. It's borrowed from God, right? You have this one for the rest of your lifetime here in this
Right.
lifetime. And when I looked at it from a partnership perspective, how do I communicate with my body? I constantly demand, I override it,
Mm,
I ignore it, I don't trust it. And then I imagined, how would my partner feel? He'd be like, why are we even in a relationship? He would rebel. He'd be like, no, no, he would shut down. And that's what happened, right? My body shut down, was
mhm.
trying to escape. And if you start actually creating a relationship that feels loving, compassionate, trust is important. Like if you tell your body, today I'm going to rest, do it because it takes core. It listens. We have over 30,000 trillion cells. Or 30 trillion cells. Sorry, not 30,000, but 30 trillions, whatever that means. I can't even imagine. Anyway, to picture it, so many cells and they're all responding to everything, what we think, what we speak. And also when you say, okay, today I need to get things done. I push through it. Today we're going to challenge a little bit. Do it. Yeah. If you say, I don't want to talk to this person anymore, then don't do it. I want to set better boundaries. I need more time in the morning. Do it. It will always listen. And every time we break a promise, it creates friction and
Mm,
distrust. Every time you stick to your promises, no matter how small, when you say, oh, I'm going to go outside for 5 minutes in the morning because I want to have some sunlight, I want to just bathe in it and just connect, do it and build that relationship. It's like when you promise your partner, hey, we have a date night and you constantly cancel it. How would they feel? They'd be like, oh, I'm
right.
not supposed to anymore. It's about that. And when you start there, then your body will also guide you to what you need to eat, how much you need to sleep,
Hmm.
and will tell you everything, really. And that's the power, what we truly have. Then you become your own doctor, your own trainer, your own shaman, all of it. And I'm not saying we don't need them. Yes, they are
Right.
amazing. They help us. It's perfect. But when you come from a place of sovereignty, being anchored in yourself, and then going and seeking for advice, you're not outsourcing your power. Now, most people, what they do is like, oh, I'm sick, I have an ailment, I'm going to ask the doctor, and they trust them,
Hmm.
what they see, but they never ask their body, hey, what did I ignore? What are you trying to tell me? What is
Right.
going on? Totally different.
Right.
It's the same thing to the outside, but it's a totally different energy and will totally empower you to trust yourself and come back home I think that's very interesting and
Yes.
important.
Yes. Coming back home. I love that. I love that. And talking about getting back to what I was saying, I go to the gym and I love it. I love working out. I love the intense workouts. But then there's times that my body says, okay, not today. We need something a bit softer. We need something a bit slower. So I'm learning that, as much as I love the intensity, I also need the slow movements. I also need to move my hips. I also need to do different things, right? And so learning to listen to your body is important because I didn't know I needed that day. Like this was last week. I've been doing workouts I do it 4 days a week and it's intense. But this one day I was just like, I came home and I was tired. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do anything. And then something was like, go to Zumba. And I'm like, I don't want to go to Zumba. Go to Zumba. I went to Zumba and I felt amazing. I'm like, I didn't know I needed that, but my body knew that it needed that. Like,
Mm.
I felt so good after that. And I'm saying this to say because when we start listening to our body, it improves our connection to ourselves and to God and to our intuition because we're
Mm.
listening. And when we listen and we respond, then it becomes to be almost like a clearer frequency. Can you talk about that? How our body responding to our body and listening to our body is almost like listening to our intuition? Would you say that kind
Yeah.
of correlates?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I always like find it hard to differentiate intuition, body, signals, because it
Mm-hmm.
is like our intuition talking through the body. And that's why I said like it's your measurement tool, it's your compass. It's
Mm-hmm.
like your GPS. It will tell you exactly what feels right. And because we get so conditioned, like just for people like an exercise they can implement on a daily basis, but it takes practice because we're so conditioned. Like tune in, like put a heart, hand on your belly, and if there's something like I don't know, you don't know if you should go to this event or you
Mm-hmm.
need to make a decision, and ask yourself, is that aligned? Is that expansive? Do you feel expansive or is it contracting? Every
Mm-hmm.
time your body is in contraction, it means there's something not in alignment. It is off. But it's hard because then your mind comes in, oh, you're not just scared or you just do that. And there's also difference between when you need to overcome fear, but you will learn the
Mm-hmm.
difference what that means in your body or when it's actually a no. And that's what I said, you have to experiment. And
Right.
with what you said, the tuning, and it's powerful what you did. Amazing. And look how beautiful you went to Zumba. You had the time of your life. And
It was
it's
fun.
yeah, because you listened to you were open to God's message. Be like, hey, it was this whisper. The intuition is a whisper. That's what first 2 seconds, very quiet when you're not tuned in and practicing it. It's so quiet, it's so hard for you to hear. It's almost like go left. You hardly hear it because the shadow comes in, ba, 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 ba,
Mm-hmm.
the mind. But the more you practice it, it becomes louder and then it becomes a nature to you. And that is the power of it because especially as women, we have a monthly cycle. We work with the moon. And this is how we can't go, you have certain times throughout the month when you're stronger, when you're like, oh, it's push, push, push. When you learn your cycle, how it works, you know. Um, and then there are times when we just need less, when we just need to do more flow, more yoga, maybe a gentle walk, whatever. And it's very important. And I used to push many, many years through, especially when I was actively boxing competitive, like a man, training like a man. I would not have a psych. I would completely ignore it. So I was completely off also with my
Oh, wow.
intuition in that sense. Yeah, because I got conditioned. And then for me it would be like when my body was seeking rest, I said, oh, you're fucking weak. You're weak. You don't do that now, that kind of thing. And now and then of course I started to be burnt out, have less energy, injuries, of course, very natural. But when you are starting to work with your body and in rhythm with your unique rhythm, what you need, you become powerful and you have more capacity for things. You can handle life because imagine now you overriding your body constantly and then life happens. Life is meant to challenge us. You have no energy to navigate through challenges because you're already exhausted. Your tool
Right.
measurement, you already like depleted. And that's why most people feel so thrown off by life because they don't have any life force energy left to actually handle challenges. We are meant to overcome challenges. That's why we are here because our earth is our schooling. It's not just meant to make us comfortable and happy. We need to learn and grow and reveal the light of our soul, and we can only do that through challenges. So it's very important. It's probably my biggest message out there for people who are listening, to start creating this relationship with your body. And how much fun will that be? And dive into this, like really strip off everything and learn to be connected to your body. We'll just tell you, and everyone is different, like not everybody is meant to be a vegan, or
Right.
like eating meat, or being like hard out in the gym with like weights or something. Like there's something different for everybody, and it's for you to find out what that is and allow your body to tell you. And then your intuition becomes strong, because this is your measurement tool for your intuition. And if this is like out of whack and you're not disconnected to your radio station, you can't receive a signal.
Right.
That's how I would describe it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And honestly, I mean, going on the self-love journey and learning yourself, knowing your body, I have to say has been one of the best experiences for me. I mean, it really is empowering. And like in a sense of I know who I am, I feel great. And when you know who you are, and you start to listen, that alignment becomes so beautiful with God. I mean, obviously, we're not perfect. We're going to have our downfalls, we're going to have our faults and our flaws and all these things. But there's such a stronger connection that you create with God and with Source. And it's just so beautiful. So I really want our listeners to really listen to this episode, and particularly this part when it comes to your intuition and listening to your body and listening to what it's telling you. And sometimes God will speak through dreams. There's times that God told me I needed more collagen, I needed more sun through dreams, because I probably wasn't listening while I was awake. So, like the way that, like, the beauty of the spiritual world, to me is just amazing because it's completely for us.
Mm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm just like
I-
right now I'm just like in awe with the beauty of God.
Same. I love it. And despite I love this. And it's about falling in love with life over and over again, like falling in love with yourself. And despite all my experiences and encounters that I had in my life with the spirit world and, God, science, I never ever will stop being surprised about it. The little things like waking up at 444, or like I'm asking for a sign and then I see this name or something is happening. I will. I know I haven't had many encounters, millions. Well, exaggerating now, but many. And I will never be stop. I will never stop being so. And every single time I'm like, I'm in this awe and credit to be like, thank you, amazing. I needed that. And
Hmm.
also with the signs, when what I've learned as well, sometimes they are more like they come, in bounds, because we need it at that time, because that's when God is seeing, oh, she's struggling at the moment. She needs a little bit more of
Hmm.
that. And there are times when they're maybe not as obvious all the time. That's because you're more in alignment. You're like, oh, you good? Yeah, she's good. She's following her soul path. She's good. She doesn't need so much
Hmm.
redirection. I think that's what I've learned for myself a little bit. And someone in a podcast said that, and it aligned with me. So I was like, yeah, I like that. So yeah, for it's amazing. And why wouldn't you want to get to know yourself and create this beautiful relationship? Because you are the one you spend the rest of your life with, 100% guaranteed. The rest is not guaranteed. I That's what I
Right.
would say, because yeah, and the better you know yourself, the better you can express yourself and create relationships with other people and give to the world and be who you
Exactly.
are. And you don't wear masks, and that's what people really want, don't they? Like they want to have authenticity. They want to have the real stuff, not fake stuff. I mean, I want
Right.
that. I want to see the real person. I want to say, hey, what have you been going through? What is going on? Um, yeah. So it's powerful.
Amazing. Now you talk a lot about quantum awareness. Can you talk about that in the sense of what that means, what it looks like on a day-to-day basis, and how people can begin to practice this?
Yeah, with the quantum, I choose the word quantum embodiment for my method, because I feel like it encompasses it all. Like this is like a whole holistic approach. I feel like quantum, I chose that because I personally work 80% energetic and 20% is here in the body, but not in when I use the percentages, not in the sense of like volume, if that makes sense, or quantity. It's more like I start there. I start to to put it all together there and receive everything. And then it's really important to filter what I really need and bring it back into the body. But I feel that when I use quantum awareness, I actually mean the energy, because when it came to the body, we know a lot about the physical body. We do that, right? We do the mental stuff and the mind. We work with our emotions. We are very aware of that. But not many people nowadays, it comes more to the forefront, but talking about the energetic body, how important it is, how it really influences you. And
Mm.
when when talking about the quantum or energetic awareness, like for people to really notice, like, okay, now we have been talking, right? After the podcast, you can tune in. Hey, how do I feel after this talk? Do you feel excited, expansive, or do you feel depleted and drained?
Okay.
And this has nothing to do with like me as a person or you as a person. It's more like energetically, are we vibing here on the same frequency? Are you in alignment with me? I feel pretty excited talking to
Me
you. I
too.
feel energized. And it was 6:30 in the morning for me. Yeah, I'm a morning person, but usually I'm not always that early on podcast, but I knew this is good. If it wouldn't have been a good conversation for me to have in this morning, I would have been something would have happened. I know it. I'm so
Mm.
tuned in. But anyways, for people to notice that, or you come into a room and instantly you feel off, and to feel that, how does your body feel? But it's really that it's really important to not ignore that. Like the thing is, it's hard to always read because it's not tangible and we can't really measure it with like, you can measure your body with that, with measurement bands, scale, you can measure things like that. But with energy, it's a little bit harder. And so this is what I'm talking about to for people to be really aware. What lights you up? What is really bringing you energy and what is taking energy? And to just see it as data, but the mind will come in and judge. But she's my mother. But yeah, your mother can maybe be training because there's unspoken things, not processed, and she's probably not in alignment with where you at right now. It has nothing to do that you don't love your mom,
Right.
but to be careful, like, and once you know, okay, I only spend certain times with this person when I'm charged or whatever, recharged, things like that. And when you tune into that, this is powerful when you become aware. Yeah, just awareness, just start to be aware of it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love the fact, I love the way you explain everything and the way everything, obviously everything is connected, but the way that you incorporate everything to make sense for our listeners. And I really want our listeners to really, I'm heavy on the intuition right now. I'm not sure why. Like I really feel like people really need to learn their GPS system, especially now with the times that we are in. Some say it's good, some say it's bad. It's up to everyone to discern for themselves, right? But I feel like intuition is something that is highly, strongly needed. And do you have some last words for anyone that are just, they feel the intuition, but they're not really sure how to trust it? Anything outside of the body? Is there anything else that they can begin to pay attention to increase that connection to their intuition?
Yeah, just start playing around with little day-to-day things that like see it as a practice, see the intuition as a muscle. I know probably people have heard that many times, and it's true. It's like I said before, when you go to the gym and you want to develop a muscle, it doesn't happen overnight. So I always say to people, start with day-to-day things where no other people are involved, and basically if something goes wrong, it doesn't F up your day. Yeah. So
Hmm.
it could be maybe you take it sounds silly, but like when you go to work or somewhere like and choose like go with your or no hang on, and maybe a better way is when you have a free spot or slot in your day and just say, okay, I'm gonna go for a walk, and don't plan where you go, just like tune and be like, hey, where do you want to go? Left. Okay, let's go left. Okay, we go to this park. And don't even try to reason like, oh, it's too wet there, or I don't know, there's noise, or I never go
Hmm.
this way. Just follow that and play around with those things, or even with well like with clothing, for example, like say what do you not go with the mind, oh, I'm going now, I have to have black clothes on, whatever. I mean, if you have the freedom, just start choosing with that. Or when a friend invites you for a coffee, and really tune in. Do I really want to? Is that really what is in alignment? Not obligation, not because we haven't seen each other in a while, and just start playing with those things, and then you can advance it to bigger decisions later on with food. But this requires for you to have a good connection to your body. Otherwise, there's a lot of things that can override this. So if you don't have a good connection to your body and food at the moment, a good relationship, I wouldn't recommend to
Mm-hmm.
start with that, but it leads to that. So yeah, little practices, little things, or with decision making, like what would be a good example for me right now? Sometimes like the time when I go to the gym and I have a little bit more freedom and I'm not necessarily having only one time slot. I just feel into it. What is aligned today? Should I go in the morning or maybe lunchtime? Yeah. And just trust. And that could be a reason like for I have to meet this person at the gym because they talked to me about something and that will lead to more,
Right.
which happened already many times when I was like a little bit like, oh, I don't wanted to go earlier, but then I couldn't. And then something happened. I was like, all right, I get it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I
Become
love it.
so in tune with that. And then you know that God, you're so one with God's plan that everything has purpose and you will see and feel and fully embody that everything is happening for you, never against you. Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. This has been amazing, Mia. How can our listeners connect with you? How can they maybe book a session with you? Anything that you have that you can provide, any resources to our listeners, let us know.
Yeah, well, I have my website, luna-mia.org, and Instagram, Mia_Dins. And I have also my YouTube channel, my own Spotify, um, Dins Talk, like my own podcast.
Awesome.
And yeah, TikTok as well, but mainly through my website and Instagram, you can connect. And I have my offers on my website, my quantum embodiment offers. I do have some freebies there. I also create at the moment a new resource, like where people can really learn to tune in and connect with their body, which I'm excited to share. And also for your listeners, anybody who would like to book a quantum embodiment session, an entry portal session, which is like a scanning session of your body, looking, it's also using the Akashic Records, your soul records, my mediumship. So we're tuning into, but really specifically what is going on in your body, what is blocking you on a deep cellular level, why you haven't gotten what you got or where you want to go or anything like that, whatever your desires are, whatever is going on in your life. And they get 20% off if they book. I just give them this
Awesome.
little special so they can endeavor that. But yeah, lots of free resources. I always share lots on my social media, daily tips and things like that, where people can just learn alongside. So yeah, that's where they can find me. And of course, if they have any questions, anything that's totally unclear, they can drop a comment below here or message me directly if they wish. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I'll be sure to put all that information into the episode description so that you guys can connect with Mia. I mean, connect with her. I mean, the information that she provided today was amazing. I mean, just your story and how you came into those line of work that you are doing now. And I'm sure there was so much more that we didn't even touch. There was so much about you that I wanted to learn. So I tried to get as much information as I could from you. But I mean, this has been very informative. It has been very enlightening to help our listeners, first of all, not to fear the spirit world, right? To honor the spirit world. That's a big one. That's something that I gathered to honor the spirit world. We're not just entering in, just, it's a sacred place when we come into the spirit world. And honestly, I mean, and obviously to honor yourself, honor your body, listen to yourself, listen to what your body is saying. So if you're not listening, then you need to start listening now. And I'm not going to tell you what you need to do, but I'm going to tell you what you should do. Start listening, listen to your body. There's so much noise, there's so much chaos outside of us trying to distract us from ourselves. And this is the moment that we need to connect with ourselves the most, I feel. So, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Mia. It has truly been an honor and a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. It was such an honor to be here, and thank you for giving me this space to express and being so welcome. So thank you so much,
Thank
honestly.
you. Thank you. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, I am your coach and your host, Giovanna Cirillo.